live, or at least I think we are. For some reason, mine was lagging a little bit, which was strange, but we are here. We're ready to go for Sports Wars Sunday. What's going on, Fear the Beardo?
Nothing much, man. We did WWE Backlash last night over on Geeks and Gamers Locals. That was cool. There was a few good fights, but kind of an underwhelming pay-per-view event for wrestling. But I've enjoyed watching all of the rookie training camps from around the NFL. So, yeah, just good to be here, man.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I would not want to be at Brown's training camp, like with the constant, incessant, hey, who's going to be our third and fourth string quarterbacks? Who's going to take the first snap as these rookies split reps between Dylan Gabriel and Shedeur Sanders? Because that is, they're going to be like the most talked about fourth and fifth round picks that are out there.
And they asked Dylan Gabriel about it. Like, is it awkward being in the quarterback room with Shedeur Sanders? He's like, those kind of questions are damaging to a team. That was his answer. Like, those questions are harmful to a team. I'm not answering, which is good, man. That's very professional for sure. Because you want these guys to be friends. You don't want them to fucking hate each other.
Yeah, it's tough. And you do have to wonder what the plan is. So right now they've got Deshaun Watson on the roster, but obviously don't have to worry about that for this year because he's hurt, not going to play, whatever. You keep him on IR the entire time. But then Joe Flacco, Kenny Pickett, Dylan Gabriel, Shedeur Sanders. So what do you do? Now you can certainly carry three quarterbacks. You can carry three quarterbacks in the regular season. Not all teams do it. Some do. You carry three quarterbacks. That means somebody's got to go.
Somebody's getting cut.
Yeah.
And so who is that?
I think Kenny Pickett's the odd man out, unfortunately, even though they traded for him.
I think what you do is you potentially look for a way to move Kenny Pickett. Or
he just doesn't dress. If he's just a scout team quarterback and he just doesn't dress on game day.
Do you think that's what he wants? He's going to be okay with that.
Or the more hilarious outcome would be Shedeur Sanders is your scout team quarterback and he doesn't dress on game days.
I don't think that's fucking happening. So you're put in this very strange, awkward position. And I think the easiest thing for them to do is try to move one of these quarterbacks at some point before the season starts, before they're making their full roster, breakdowns. Maybe you send a guy like Kenny Pickett to the Saints, who now, they're also in the quarterback. They've drafted one. They've still got Spencer Rattler, but they no longer have Derek Carr, which we'll be getting into. But before we get to that, John Matrix, how's it going, man?
Doing good, man. Doing good. Happy Mother's Day to all the mothers out there, too, by the way.
Happy Mother's Day. Sports Wars, notoriously, we got a lot of women watching. So, happy Mother's Day to all you guys out there. And for all the men who haven't said Happy Mother's Day yet to your mom,
I called my mom already.
Yeah, what the hell's wrong with you? Unless it's Pacific time, it's 8 o'clock, you just woke up.
Yeah.
There.
Yeah, I texted my mom, told her I would call her after the show.
Yeah, it's got to be, as long as you get it done before noon. That's the rule.
And you know what?
Noon.
Throw your grandma in there too. Give your grandma a text or a phone call if she's still around.
Grandmother's Day is technically October 12th. So
but like your grandma's like the mom of the family. Your grandma's the mom that started the entire family. Give your grandma a call if she's still around.
My grandparents have been dead for decades. One before I was even born.
So that's because you're old.
John's old as shit.
I ain't that old, man. my mom's
Are you 40 yet?
I'm gonna be 48 in July.
Okay, yeah. So you're old as shit.
No, but
48.
My mom's mom died when she was. I think she died in 1964.
Holy
My mom was 8 years old. So
damn.
Yeah.
Yeah, but John is old. He might not look it. He might not look it because black don't crack.
Black don't crack.
John's older than us.
I'm aging in reverse.
Did you guys see? Like Martha Stewart. You guys see Martha Stewart? Like she posted on Instagram or something. Dude, Martha Stewart looks like she's 35.
I know she's 80.
Dude, she's 83.
Yeah, she looks good for her age.
Dude, she looks like she's in her 30s. Like, if I didn't know that was Martha Stewart, I'd be like, damn. For real, dude. It's crazy.
let's calm down with that. I don't know about that. Like,
I don't think you've seen the picture that I seen.
yeah, but you think she looks 30?
Okay, I wouldn't go that far. That's
maybe young 40s.
Maybe like old 40s, early 50s.
Early 40s.
I would say like mid 50s.
She just like, look, she went to prison and she changed. She's like, I'm just gonna pull my tits out now. That's basically what Martha Stewart's doing.
Okay,
Didn't
dude, here
she
it
do,
is.
She did Sports Illustrated cover.
I couldn't tell you.
It was dude,
one
of them. I don't know.
Martha Stewart is looking like a freaking gilf right here, bro. Like, come on. That does not look like an 83-year-old.
Okay, yeah. That looks
I thought you meant the picture that she put out, like of her.
No, this is the picture that's going viral, the one that I was talking about. Like, that she don't look 50.
She looks about.
She looks like mid 40s right here, bro.
She looks like late 40s.
Close.
Yeah.
Dude, it's insane. Anyways, I know this is a sports
the problem
stream.
is you try to fuck her, she's going to break a hip or something. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Did you guys see the picture of Kenny Pickett and Joe Flacco at Browns?
The hands?
Training camp? The hands, dude. Yes, I have it right here.
Yes.
Check this out, dude. Look at the size difference. Let me see if I can zoom in a little bit more. Look at
this. Kenny Pickett's wearing gloves.
Wow.
Yeah, look at the size comparison between Kenny Pickett and Joe Flacco's hands. That's insane, dude. And that's why Kenny Pickett's wearing receiver gloves to throw the football.
I mean, that's a legit thing. Like that's one of the measurements that happen at the combine is like how big your hands are.
Yeah.
Specifically for gripping the football, worries about that, especially when you start getting into slicker weather, if there's any rain or anything like that. Yeah. And obviously just the idea of somebody bumping you and you being able to hang on to the ball. Remember Roethlisberger used to do those insane pump fakes where he'd basically fucking throw the ball but hold on to it, not just a little twitch, but just like full on, go full through the motion, but never release it.
Yeah. Well, and that's why you've seen quarterbacks like Kurt Warner. I think when Kurt Warner was with the Giants, he broke his thumb. It was either his last year in St. Louis or with the Giants, he broke his thumb. And when he went to Arizona, he was always wearing gloves on his hands afterwards. The same thing with Peyton Manning. Like later in Peyton Manning's career, when he started to, go downhill a little bit, he always wore throwing gloves.
Well, that was also, if you remember, with Peyton's injury specifically.
Well, it wasn't a neck injury. It was like the nerve endings.
Correct.
It was the nerve endings, and he was losing feeling in his fingertips. And they did it in his first few years in Denver. It was fine, but that last year in Denver started to, reoccur a little bit.
Well, yeah, and that's like was one of the reasons he went to the glove was because he didn't have like the full strength or feeling in that hand anymore.
Right.
Bro, that last season when Peyton's defense carried him to that fucking.
I don't want to talk about it.
That dude played like
that was not Peyton Manning.
He played good enough in the playoffs. Dude, they beat Brady, New England in Denver.
That defense lit up the Patriots, man.
Correct.
By definition,
you still got to score points,
right? So by definition, he did play good enough in the playoffs, obviously because they went on to win the Super Bowl. So yes, by definition, that is good enough. However, you look at that season, Brock Osweiler outplayed Peyton Manning.
Yeah. But you got to remember, even that season before, Peyton Manning played really well. The drop-off started then, near the end of that season.
He also had the reason he was missing time in that Broncos Super Bowl season
was plantar fasciitis.
Yes, he had foot problems during that year.
Yeah.
But yeah, dude, see, it was disgusting to me to see as somebody who's always actively rooted against Peyton Manning. It was disgusting for me to see this like 10 of 21 performance with like one interception and him fucking after the game. And then start promoting Budweiser and Papa John's and shit. Fucking.
Yeah. But all people are going to remember is two-time Super Bowl champion.
Two-time Super Bowl champion. He was a five-time league MVP.
He was pretty much a journeyman on that Denver team.
Oh, fuck off. What do you mean journeyman? He played for two teams and he was released.
No.
He was released.
I'm talking about the way he played that last season. It was like he was a journeyman.
No way, dude.
I ain't never going to forget Peyton Manning in the Super Bowl against Drew Brees and the New Orleans Saints. I'm never going to forget Peyton Manning in that vaunted offense against the Legion of Boom.
Al Harris.
I never
Was it Al Harris that picked him off for the pit sits?
I couldn't tell you who it was for
I think it
New
was Al
Orleans.
Harris. I don't remember exactly.
Bro, I always loved because look, I fucking hated the Colts growing up. Well, hold on. Give me a second. I'll be right back.
Okay. No, I grew up obviously a Giants fan, but I loved Peyton Manning. I just loved watching him play. He was a fucking surgeon out there, man. Like going up to the line. He was the offensive coordinator, especially when he went to Denver. I know they had an offensive coordinator, Adam Gase, and one other guy. I can't remember who it was, but dude, when Peyton went to Denver, he was the offensive coordinator. He ran that entire offense. He brought his offense over from Indy over to Denver. And a lot of the players, too.
Would you say that he was probably the last QB that was drafted where it was like no doubt about it, he's going to be great?
I don't know, because if you go back, there was a lot of discussion about between him and Ryan Leaf.
Yeah, but there was no doubt about it that Peyton Manning was going to be great. Yeah, there was a discussion about who's going to get drafted first, but everybody knew Peyton Manning was going to be great.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think there's been a QB like that since then.
I think the most recent
Andrew Luck, maybe.
Yes, I think the most recent one we have in history is
but Andrew Luck didn't get there. I mean, he was injured a lot too. So.
He fucking retired.
Yeah, he retired.
And I know we're going to talk about Derek Carr, but the same thing that happened to Andrew Luck is what's happening to Derek Carr right now, just riddled with injuries and going through that entire process of playing football, getting injured, rehab, getting healthy again, going back into training camp, playing, getting injured, rehabbing. It's just this vicious cycle that just beats you down. And unfortunately, that's what happened to Derek Carr. Same thing that happened to Andrew Luck.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we might as well get right into that. This was news that broke yesterday, I believe. And I don't know if it's stunning because of all the discussions we've heard surrounding it. But a little bit shocking at age 34 for Derek Carr to announce that he's done. Derek Carr had a shoulder injury, and he's had a lot of problems with injuries over the course of his NFL career. He's trying to get things stabilized for the Saints. They were hoping he could. Got injured last year. There had been issues that we have heard about this offseason that the Saints were very uncertain as to what was going on. How is the injury progressing? How is the rehab progressing? When is he going to be available to go? That maybe potentially he might miss this season too. And then we just get word that Derek Carr's done. Discussed it with his family. And at age 34, he is saying goodbye to the NFL. Obviously, if you know anything about Derek Carr outside of this, faith is super big and super important. His family is super big and super important to him. And he made the decision that he's done. And here's the statement. Upon reflection of prayer and after discussing the situation with his wife, Heather, he says, I've decided to retire from the National Football League. For more than 11 years, we've been incredibly blessed and forever grateful and humbled by this experience. It's difficult to find the right words to express our thanks to all the teammates, coaches, management, ownerships, team officials, and especially the fans who made this journey so special. Your unwavering support has meant the world to us. You could see Ian Rappaport talking about the financial stipulations. Both sides gained by retiring. Carr forgoes the $30 million guaranteed this season, while the Saints won't seek the reimbursement for the $10 million roster bonus and signing bonus. So kind of a rough end. A rough end for Derek Carr to go out like this at 30, and certainly 34, depending on what position you play in football and depending on your talent level, that could be considered old.
Right.
But I don't think if you would have told us this at the end of last year, none of us would have believed that Derek Carr would be retiring this year.
No.
Maybe that the Saints wouldn't want him. Maybe he'd move on, maybe somewhere else. But him retiring is kind of shocking. And it brings up the question, what happens now for the Saints? They drafted Tyler Shuff famously before Shedeur Sanders and Dylan Gabriel were off the board. And, some people were head scratching at that. They still got Spencer Rattler, but there has been connections with, of course, we always got to talk about him, Aaron Rodgers. But the Saints now might be looking at something else, whether it's the guys they have on the roster currently or bringing in someone outside. We talked a little bit earlier about the situation with the Browns. Maybe they make a move to trade for a guy like Kenny Pickett with a little more experience. There are options potentially out there for the New Orleans Saints.
And that's not the only option that I've seen. Tanking for Arch Manning next year.
Well, bringing another Manning at the quarterback position there for the New Orleans Saints. 60 years afterwards?
Yep.
Might have been something they could have done.
But no, I like Derek Carr. I've always liked Derek Carr. Back when he was at Fresno State and, with the Raiders, he's had an unfortunate career with head coaches. He's always kind of had like a revolving door of head coaches, nothing really consistent. And same thing as in with the Raiders, with the Saints, he's never had real stable head coaching, a head coach there. So it just sucks, man. Just riddled with injuries. He put up some great numbers.
Yeah,
he's a four-time Pro Bowler.
He's underrated, man. He made 4
really
Pro Bowls,
underrated.
41,000 yards. That's pretty solid.
He's had a solid NFL career. And I think there's sometimes you look at things, you remember that first season and there was so much that went right for that team during his first season there with the Raiders. And you go back, you look at one-score games, their record in one-score games. A lot of that, it was great and incredible to see, but a lot of it, you wonder if that was going to be sustainable when you look at their record in those one-score games. And then the next year it kind of comes back down to earth, and it has been a little bit of a revolving door. And I don't think anyone's going to be like, oh, Derek Carr, one of the top 10 quarterbacks in the league. That's not how we would think of Derek Carr probably throughout his time. But a guy that you felt maybe in the right situations could have got it done, and it just never happened.
What's crazy is he's top 25 all-time in career passing yards.
When we look at the record books,
that's not surprising.
After this
it's
era,
a different game.
Yeah,
it's a way different game.
The last 20 years in the NFL will significantly skew the all-time record books, period.
Yeah. Sure.
Just with how much people are passing, the number of 4,000-yard passers. Now, last year was a little different. Last year, we've seen what seems like a little bit of an evolution in the NFL. Maybe is that because of quarterbacks are less and less experienced when they're coming in, and so many people are going with these young quarterbacks and having schemes that fit them. Who knows, right? But for the past 2 decades, we've seen pass numbers continue to increase at crazy levels. Until last year, it almost seemed like running backs became a focus again for some teams, at least. But yeah, when it's all said and done, the record books are going to look really skewed when you look back at these last 20 years, because you're going to have guys like Derek Carr who probably wouldn't have been in anyone's top 10 list any given year for quarterbacks, like who are actively playing. He's going to be up there, like you said, top 25 in passing yards in NFL history.
Yeah. Yeah, because like in the 90s, man, in the 90s, 3,000 yards was the standard. And now it's clear that 4,000 yards is kind of the standard. Probably a little bit more since you actually got
probably about 4,500 probably.
Yeah, probably about 45. Well, that's somewhere
4,500 if you're like, top 5, top 10 quarterback. You should be hitting 45.
Yeah.
The Chicago got a Pope before we got a 4,000-yard passer. Chicago has never had a 4,000-yard passer in its entire history. Maybe that'll change this year. Maybe that'll change. Zenny Biscuit, sovereignty skips the Preakness. Meanwhile, my new papa, Leo the 14th, is a White Sox fan and I think plays tennis. I love him, even though I'm an O's fan. Well, look, Zenny Biscuit, I'm not Catholic, so obviously the election of the Pope isn't as big of a deal to me as it is to so many Catholics around the world. But I'm just going to say this. You're off to a bad start if you're a White Sox fan. All right? You're off to a bad start. Especially like you're there. Come on, Pope Leo. I mean, we got pictures. He looks like Emperor Palpatine, for the record, which should be a little bit scary to anybody.
All the memes.
Okay? He looks kind of like Emperor Palpatine. He's a White Sox fan. Come on. What are we doing here? But I know it's very important to Catholics out there, Zenny Biscuit. B-Chain for 10. Well, that Pete Crow Armstrong for Javi Baez trade a few years ago is looking worse every day. Typical of the last Mets regime. Here's to a Mets-Cubs NLCS with the Mets winning, of course. Mets took it to the Cubs 2 days ago. Cubs won last night. Pete Crow Armstrong seems to be taken off a little bit, which is fantastic to see. My question about the Cubs is exactly what it was the last couple of weeks. We've talked about this when you look at Major League Baseball. I just do not see how their pitching is going to hold up through this year. They can score runs. I think they're really going to have a tough time preventing other people from scoring runs, especially with Justin Steele in the first couple of weeks, Tommy John surgery. And now you've got a couple other little injuries. I struggle to see how they're going to be able to contend throughout the season with their current pitching staff. But
hey, Ryan, speaking of Pete Crow Armstrong, did you know that the mom from Little Big League, Jenny Haywood, the actress, is Ashley Crow, is Pete Crow Armstrong's mom in real life?
Really?
Yes. The boy's mom from Little Big League in the movie, in real life, is Pete Crow Armstrong's mom.
That's wild.
Yeah.
Pete Crow Armstrong defensively is up there with the top outfielders, bar none, in Major League Baseball. But you did wonder about that offensive output, and it's taken off. He's changed a couple things with his batting stance, so he's looking great. Cubs are fun to watch. Cubs are a lot of fun to watch. How about those Houston Astros, John?
Didn't go well last night. It was pretty bad. McCullers not first time pitch. He pitched one other time this season, but before that, we hadn't seen him in like 2.5 years. And he was terrible. Couldn't get out the first inning. 10 runs in the first inning. It was that bad.
That is pretty rough. The Rockies had a tough game yesterday against the San Diego Padres. It was a football score. When you think of football scores, you're like, oh, what is it, 7-3? No, it was 21-0. It was 21-0. It was not good. And I think I have, here it is. I knew I had it pulled up somewhere. Let's see. And you know how all these teams are, after something happens, after a score, or after a result, they're always going to post something on social media. If they win, they're going to be enthusiastic. If they don't, it's like, final, we lost, blah, blah, blah. But you see Padres 21 runs on 24 hits, sitting at 25-13. Padres are looking good. Rockies,
wow,
potentially going to break the White Sox worst record in a season in history. That's how bad they are. Here's the Rockies' response on social media. No post about the score, no anything. Just Jordan Hudson. We're not talking about this.
So
it's good. You got to have some fun. When you're that bad, you got to have a sense of humor about it. And you guys been watching hockey playoffs at all?
Nope.
Been dabbling.
I mean, look, there's been some great finishes and stuff like that. Oftentimes I'll have it up in like the dual screen on YouTube TV because I've been watching all the NBA playoffs and they're going on at the same time. But people love playoff hockey. People love the excitement. People love the frenetic, frantic tension that's built because of these games. Had a couple of good ones going to overtime. We can look right now at the playoff bracket and kind of see where everything stands. But I've been paying much more attention to NBA than I have to hockey. But like I said, I've caught a couple games here or there. But as it stands right now, you've got Jets and Stars all tied up. Edmonton Oilers up 2-1 on the Golden Knights. Maple Leafs 2-1 up in the series on the Florida Panthers. The Florida Panthers, who had to fight a civil war in Florida against the Tampa Bay Lightning. And there you have Capitals and the Hurricanes. And, Caps are down 2-1. So that's our breakdown for hockey. I know everybody's begging us to talk about hockey. Mm-hmm. This is what we have. I do think that there was the Golden Knights, I think, scored with like 2 or 3 seconds left in that game, to take one. So there have been some great finishes. And for people that love hockey, you've had some great series. Oh, there we go. Vegas scored a winning goal with 0.4 seconds left last night. Yeah, wow. It was right, almost right as time expires. But of course, we've also got NBA playoffs going on at the same time. So we can get into that a little bit. And as I stated, look, there's been a lot of discussion about the NBA and how its ratings have fallen, and they certainly have in the regular season. There's a lot of reasons for that. The playoffs, in large part, have been pretty phenomenal in terms of competitiveness, in terms of good storylines, and in terms of ratings. The first round NBA playoffs had its highest ratings in like 20 years, just because some of the good matchups and things. Cavaliers, Pistons, Indy took the first 2 games. Cavs finally got one. They're finally getting healthy. Donovan Mitchell playing like a crazy bastard out there. I think he had another 40-point game last night. Some crazy highlights. Donovan Mitchell's taking it to the next level. But both of the number 1 seeds right now are down in their series. Thunder Nuggets. We've now seen Aaron Gordon with several big-time clutch moments, including the 3 at the buzzer in their frenetic comeback in Game 1, a 3 to force overtime and for them to go and win this game in Game 3. The Thunder, far and away, probably the best team in the league. That's why they got the number 1 seed. But the Nuggets have all this experience. The Thunder are a team that they got a lot of young guys, play hard every night, that kind of thing. But then you go up against these guys who have been there and done that. And Jokic played like dog shit in Game 3. And the Nuggets are still able to go in and win. Conversely, you've got a series with the Celtics, who a lot of people felt they'd walk away with this series. Knicks beat them. First 2 games, the Knicks beat them in fucking Boston. They go to New York, finally play the way I think people felt like they would play, and took it to them yesterday. So they're down 2-1 in that series. Timberwolves, Warriors. Steph Curry goes out with a hamstring injury in the second quarter of Game 1.
Yep.
I don't know if we're going to see, I don't know if we're going to see Steph back in this series.
They said a week, but I doubt it.
And it is rough. And honestly, the game last night, I feel like there was a couple bullshit calls, and they were still in the thing. They were in the thing. They almost won this game, quite honestly. Jimmy Butler's been forced to be very much aggressive and a scorer. The team's obviously completely different without Steph. And the Timberwolves, though, with that being said, have not looked particularly good. Even though they beat the fuck out of the Lakers, they have not looked particularly good in this series. So that is the one where it seems like the odds of the Warriors coming out, unless Steph can come back for Game 5, they think the earliest to be back is maybe Game 6. If that's, I don't know if they'll get to Game 6. I just don't know. It means the Warriors have to win one more without him on the floor. So we'll see what happens, but it's been great. Now, Draymond Green, been a little bit of a topic of discussion because of what happened in Game 2. So I suppose that's a good lead in to our Draymond Green story. Now, this is a couple days old. This happened in Game 2, but Draymond Green been in the news a little bit as the Warriors are, desperately trying to fight in their playoff series against the Minnesota Timberwolves with Steph Curry going down with a hamstring injury. Draymond Green did Draymond Green things, got called for a technical foul, and we'll go over that, whether it should have been one or shouldn't have been one. But in the aftermath of yet another technical foul, I think the 5th tech that he's got in the playoffs, by the way, Draymond Green goes on this crazy rant about he's tired of the media trying to portray him as some angry black man, which is about the most ridiculous thing I could imagine, because the only person that's given Draymond Green this reputation, not as an angry black man, but just as kind of a wild player in general,
Draymond Green himself.
Is Draymond Green himself. So this is the rant that he goes on after they got blown out by the Timberwolves in Game 2.
Look like the angry black man. I'm not an angry black man. I'm a very successful, educated black man with a great family. And I'm great at basketball. I'm great at what I do. The agenda to try to keep making me look like an angry black man is crazy. I'm sick of it. It's ridiculous.
Now look, Draymond Green gets away with more shit than maybe anybody else in the league, quite frankly. The amount of stuff that he does, sometimes you'd think if it was anybody else, they might get called, but Draymond gets away with some shit. This is what happened that caused Draymond Green to get hit with this technical foul. And we have seen this very same thing play out throughout the course of Draymond Green's entire career. Let's watch it play.
A review here. Yeah.
Wow.
Right. So him flailing, maybe to get a call, maybe to get something. And it just so happens almost every time Draymond Green does this, his elbows, his hand, his leg always ends up going directly for a player, sometimes to their face.
Got a chance to be upgraded to the flagrant one.
Stand on.
So he hits him. Now, Draymond Green in the aftermath, look at him shouting at the referee after getting a technical foul for this.
A tough call because all he's trying to do is draw the foul. And now Draymond is just yelling at the...
Screaming that's fucking bullshit to the ref in his face. If Draymond didn't already have a tech and they wouldn't have been thrown out of this game, he probably would have got fucking teed up. But that's why everyone's saying that this is bullshit. Look, we got black people in the media who usually would run and be all over this story that are like, let's calm down a little bit. I don't think the majority are projecting an angry black man stereotype on Draymond. This is from Emmanuel Acho. People just believe he's a dirty basketball player whose feet and elbows always seem to find the face and chest of opponents.
Mm-hmm.
Jay Williams, let's be clear. Draymond Green is not an angry black man, but he does have anger issues on the court. Those are two very different conversations. Stop conflating identity with accountability.
Mm.
So when you have some of the biggest, well-known names who usually would talk about something like this and usually try to spin something, there's nothing you can spin when it comes to Draymond Green. And I'll just let this play as we continue to speak about this. This is just a random assortment of highlights from Draymond Green. But Draymond is the one that has given himself a reputation as dirty. It's not an angry black man thing. It's the fact that you've choked people out on the court. It's the fact that you've stomped on people's chests. It's the fact that you hit people in the face. It's the fact that you've kicked people in the nuts, right? and Draymond Green is incredibly important for the Warriors for what they do, right? You cannot deny that. Would this work with Draymond on another team trying to take on a different role? Probably not, but it's worked very well with what they've done over the past decade. There's no denying it. And if Draymond Green was on my team, I'd probably love him, right? Kind of guy you'd love if he's on your team and you hate him if he's on the other team.
Mm-hmm.
But this is Draymond Green. This is who he is. And the fact that he's trying to play victim over all this stuff is bullshit.
It has nothing to do with him being a black man. He's just a violent basketball player.
You remember, man, when the Warriors blew that 3-1 lead, a lot of people believe that the Warriors probably could have won against the Cavs, but Draymond Green did something stupid and he got suspended. That's who Draymond is.
And, Beardo, you brought up before the stream, this is a guy who, you remember the Jordan Poole incident from a couple years ago when he just cold cocks him during their practice. So it's not even just when you're on the floor in a game where this is happening. Sometimes it's with your own teammates.
Yeah. You're not safe even if you're a teammate of Draymond Green because you might have your jaw broken and, wired shut back together.
Yeah. And this is who Draymond is. And look, John, you're old. You saw a lot of basketball in the 80s and 90s, right? The level of physicality, the dirty shots, the cheap shots, the intimidating, things like that. It was commonplace 80s and 90s, right?
Yeah.
With how chippy it was, with how they would try to do a little bit extra to you every single time they could, the intimidators that we had during that era.
Pretty much every team had a Draymond Green almost.
100%. And
the Knicks had Anthony Mason and Charles Oakley.
Yeah.
Rockets had Vernon Maxwell.
Yeah, look at the entire Pistons team, the bad boy Pistons team.
The whole damn team.
Yeah. So in this era, we don't see as much of this anymore. The game's been cleaned up to a certain extent when it comes to things like this. But Draymond, no one's trying to put some angry black man whatever. This is just the type of player you are. And even traditional race baiters in the media can't defend it because this is what you do. It's just what he does. So it was wild to see him play victim over this shit. Now, maybe this has something to do with there was a report that some fan said something to him and got kicked out of the game, said something racially motivated to him. But that has nothing to do with the tech. It has nothing to do with the way the media is portraying him. Nothing to do with any of that. Well, maybe that's one of the causes that he went on this fucking rant. But Draymond gets away with a lot of shit. With that being said, I think it's pretty bullshit the way he fouled out of last night's game. I think it was a clear offensive foul on Julius Randle to pick up his 5th personal foul, and then just a really kind of a ticky-tack. You could have gone either way foul for his 6th that got him out of the game. And when you got Draymond and Steph both not available, the Warriors were pretty much done at that point.
Yeah.
So little bit different. A little bit different. Let's get back to some of these super chats, though. Belichick's girlfriend lost to a transmission, bro. Well, she lost the early online voting to a transgender person. I don't know if that's the official tally yet. Because I don't think.
What are we talking about?
The Miss Maine pageant is going on right now, and she was getting blown out in the voting. I believe the site crashed.
By a tranny?
Yeah. And it's still, the tranny isn't winning either. But the tranny has like double the amount of votes.
So just to be clear, there is a fan poll, right? There's like a Miss Maine, right? Jordan Hudson is out there competing for Miss Maine, and she was 7th place in voting out of 18th people. And there was a transgender dude who was ahead of her in the early online vote. You have to pay like $1 to vote online or some bullshit like that. I don't think that decides the pageant, though, right? The judges do.
Actually, whoever wins gets to move on to like the quarterfinals. It matters.
Yeah. It matters, but it's not like those people are not determining who Miss Maine is, correct? Like it's basically like NBA All-Star, like the player voting. You know what I mean? To get
it
you
may
to
be
there,
a part
get
of
you
that
there.
or something like that. But still, last time I checked, I believe Jordan Hudson had 220 votes. The transgender had 440, and the lead voter had like 1,400.
Yeah, let's see.
But the site crashed, and I believe it's still down, so you can't even see the vote tally.
Yeah, let's see. Jordan Hudson is only in 7th place in online voting, ahead of whatever. Because I did have that pulled up earlier. But we are going to talk about Bill Belichick's girlfriend. Because we probably should have talked about it last week, and it didn't have the opportunity to. But it's continuing to be a problem, and it will continue to be a problem for Bill Belichick.
Yep.
There's no doubt about that. The Raven and Writing Desk, member for 13 months. Hello. Mick Walsh for 2. Bill's sugar babies losing to the Ku Klux Trans.
Yeesh.
Connor Akers for 2. Jordan Hudson, a.k.a. Yoko Belichick. Alex McCarthy for Mother's Day, enter code RK Outpost or Beardo. Hey, if you're in need of a new PC, you want to get your mom a new PC for Mother's Day. A lot of gaming moms out there, Check out Meta PCs. Link is in the description. From Tuesday night's main event, favorite historical era of sports?
I don't remember that on main event. Maybe I do. I don't know. Favorite historical era?
Does that mean like
the steroid era? I don't know.
Yeah, I guess for me, just because it was when I was growing up, would be the 90s, right? As I was first really, as a child, first starting to get into sports and watching the Bulls, watching Michael Jordan, watching Sammy Sosa for the Cubs, Mark McGwire, that would probably have to be mine just from a nostalgia point. But
I would probably say the 2000s for the NFL. Because you just had so many generational quarterbacks. You had
Peyton Manning,
Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, Brett Favre, Eli Manning, Ben Roethlisberger, Phillip Rivers. And there's more too.
Yeah.
I just love that era of football. And plus, just the defense, man. The defense was so violent and brutal with Ray Lewis and Terrell Suggs and Urlacher and Troy Polamalu, Ed Reed, Bob Sanders. It was a
strange era, mix over era, because you had passing that was taking off and you had these offensive explosions, yet the rules to negate the defense were not in effect yet. Right. So you did have you have the greatest show on turf for the Rams that comes at 99, 2000, 2001, that era. You start to see this explosion, but defenses are still actually allowed to fucking hit people.
Yep.
Yeah. Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
I would definitely say for MLB and the NBA, it was the 90s. I mean, that was peak for both sports. And the NBA hadn't been close to the 90s since then.
I just rewatched that documentary they did on Balco from the early 2000s when they got busted.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
Yeah. Remember, batting
Bonds.
practice used to be a big deal just to see Mark McGwire hit and Barry Bonds hit in the 90s.
And to see Sammy Sosa hit.
Sammy Sosa.
Why he had a corked bat that he used for batting practice.
Yeah.
Yep.
Till he accidentally grabbed it for the game. Sixer Iverson for 2. Where's Vegas Dave on his Carr rookie cards? I don't know.
Not sure.
Wu-Tang Dan. What's good, fellas? NBA playoffs have been fucking wild so far. Nuggets might give me a stroke. Nugs go 50-32, and AG 50-32 turns into MJ. Poetry. Aaron Gordon has been incredible for them. He's been a huge, huge boost for them. And Aaron Gordon went through some shit. I think his brother died, and he basically, I don't know if he's officially adopted him, but he brought his nephews out after his brother died to like live with him in Denver. And I think that might have like changed a lot of things from his mental perspective on shit. And he's been a different player. Derek Carr's the Andor of quarterbacks. We want him / the show to be good, but at the end of the day, they don't measure up in reality.
I will say this.
Derek Carr was just dealt a shit hand, in my opinion.
Since he brought up Andor, I hated season 1. The first 3 episodes of season 2, awful. The last 6 pretty damn good. I ain't gonna lie.
The last 3 chunks they put out was
the last
a good
3
arc.
is fantastic.
Yeah, the last 3 episodes they put out was a good arc. Whereas the first 3 were probably the worst that they've put out in the whole series.
Yeah, it was.
Running backs are back, like my boy Derrick Henry. Also, assuming Henry has another good season, 1,300 yards, then he will hit top 10 rushing of all time. 4 more touchdowns, he'll pass Walter Payton, be a top 5 all-time in rushing touchdowns. Derrick Henry's had a hell of a career, man.
Mm-hmm.
He's had a hell of a career.
Yep.
How old is Henry?
Young
31?
30s?
31 or something?
Is he 31?
Derrick Henry age. He is 31 years old.
There you go. Yep.
Super base. Carr's O-line let him get sacked multiple times when he didn't take a knee in 2017. Huge scandal over here in the Bay. I saw John Gruden's post or whatever when that came out as well. Cole Hauser. Yo, Ryan, Beardo, and John. I'm black and likes hockey. Ryan's white and likes basketball. Strange world. Go Yankees. Well, you're Canadian, though, so, like, hockey's, like, built into your, like, you can't not like hockey if you're Canadian. You know? Chris Coran. Draymond makes Rodman look like a saint. I don't know if anyone could do that. Like, we go back to that Rodman era. Enforcer, baby. Who's the angrier black man? Draymond on the court or Ryan at the fast food restaurant? Depends which restaurant, I suppose. Depends which restaurant. But we might as well talk about old Bill Belichick, shouldn't we?
Good old Bill. This is crazy.
Yes, this entire situation has destroyed any reputation that Bill Belichick had remaining.
Mm-hmm. And I think we were all kind of worried that this would happen, that this exact thing would happen. When we seen her Instagram post, his Instagram post, and a few weeks ago when she was on the field for practice in her boots and her sexy dress, or like her sundress she was wearing, like, when have you ever seen, like, maybe like a day you see like a player's wife and kids show up and then, you know, give them a kiss, but then they move on, they go to the sideline. Why the fuck is Bill Belichick's girlfriend like on the field talking with Bill during practice and wasting his time and distracting him, and probably distracting the players too, because let's face it, she's fucking hot, but she has no place to be on the field while the team is practicing.
Yeah.
Yeah. And when he took this job at North Carolina, a lot of people were wondering, all right, what is this going to do? Maybe 20 years ago, Bill Belichick in college football, with the type of control he could have and the discipline and the Patriot way, like, maybe that would have worked really well. in this era of college football with the transfer portal, with NIL? Like, is that really going to go over the same way? Is this going to be like a kind of a disaster for Bill Belichick to truly end his career with? And now we realize that his, in all likelihood, potentially escort girlfriend, that she might be the reason.
Did you see that her mom owns a sex store or whatever? Or own like her mom like ran a brothel or something?
No, I didn't hear about that.
I haven't heard that necessarily. But we do know this is all stemming from this big interview that Bill Belichick did. And of course, he got very dressed up for the interview in his shirt with holes in it. And his girlfriend, Jordan Hudson, who he's been appearing on Instagram with, who is a part of his company now, who manages all his shit at North Carolina for him, she got very involved in this interview.
Make sure that that's the
Jordan was a constant presence during our interview.
You have Jordan right over there. Everybody in the world seems to be following this relationship. They've got an opinion about your private life. It's got nothing to do with them, but they're invested in it. How do you deal with that?
Never been too worried about what everybody else thinks. Just try to do what I feel like is best for me and what's right.
How did you guys meet?
not talking about this.
No.
It's a
We're not talking about this.
Dude,
No.
she's not even, she's just on the side, bro. Like, let Bill answer for himself. This gives me Alec Baldwin and his wife vibes. Like when Alec Baldwin's wife told him to shut the fuck up and that she was talking. This is what this feels like.
Look, I also think, and it's led to a lot of speculation about how did they meet? Because in all likelihood, she was about, 19 or 20 years old. How does this happen? A lot of theories about maybe her job before this and what she may have done. Was she some sort of escort? And that's how they met.
Mm-hmm.
Right. All of these questions are now up for game because you refuse to talk about this thing. And it's the pictures, it's her everywhere, it's her being a part of what they're doing on the field at North Carolina. And now what this has caused is just a massive fucking scandal. And there was a report 2 days ago that came out from Pablo Torre, I think broke this. Bill Belichick's girlfriend, Jordan Hudson, isn't allowed at UNC football facilities. And this is stemming weeks and weeks of bad press for them, of there being reports about Belichick's family being really worried about what's happening. Is she taking advantage? How much money is she getting out of this? What exactly is fucking going on? Now, North Carolina came out and after these reports and said, hey, she's not banned. She's welcome at the facility. She's not an employee, but she's welcome to be there. North Carolina says Jordan Hudson is still welcome at UNC football facilities. This will load up. While Jordan Hudson is not an employee of the university or Carolina Athletics, she's welcome at the Carolina facilities. Jordan will continue to manage all activities related to Coach Belichick's personal brand outside of his responsibilities for Carolina football and the university.
Dude, this is crazy, dude.
Yeah.
This is fucking wild. This reminds me of Major League 2 with Charlie Sheen and his agent girlfriend who, just runs his entire career for him.
And I'm not some massive fan of Pablo Torre in general, but he has, obviously broken some things and has sources and stuff like this. But this is when all of this came out the other day. So we'll listen to a couple minutes of this, and especially about the way that everyone's really worried about Bill Belichick's legacy because of this. Not because Brady went and won a championship with Tampa, not because they couldn't get things fixed after Brady, but because he takes a job at North Carolina and is fucking like a 23-year-old potential hooker who is destroying his life.
A couple of breaking news updates since what has happened publicly since we last gathered. Number one, okay? Two sources at the University of North Carolina tell me that there has been a decision, was made last week, by the higher-ups inside the athletic department that had hired Bill Belichick to be the highest-paid public employee, not just coach, in the state of North Carolina at $10 million a year. And that decision was that Jordan Hudson is no longer allowed in the football building.
Okay.
She is not allowed on the football field.
Mm-hmm.
Quote, don't think you'll be hearing much from Jordan moving forward.
Wow.
Dang, not in the
flippant.
building?
That's a little flippant. I feel like that is what is done with a distraction, and a team is within its
Pause
rights.
it real quick. See, this is the video I was talking about a little earlier.
Yeah,
she's in her
she's on
sundress.
the
She's in her heels and boots, looking sexy, and she's like, why is she pulling Bill aside when he should be coaching up these young kids?
Yeah. And then there's people within the family. And look, North Carolina has said, hey, she's not an employee. She's not an employee of ours, but she, of course, is, still welcome to help Bill Belichick with whatever he wants. But it does feel like that statement in and of itself tries to make the distinction that she is not part of North Carolina, But also let's get to what the family reportedly had to say.
Is that his name? Bubba Cunningham?
Bubba,
Bubba,
the way
you know how Bubba can be.
Listen, he's tough.
I think Bubba's jealous. I wouldn't say it to him, but I think Bubba's jealous.
Yeah.
That's my Bill Belichick impression.
That's really good.
That's ours.
Yeah, the most animated he's ever been.
So the theory of why any of this happening is a relevant conversation that I'm gonna ask you to put a pin in that.
Okay.
Because the second update is that Bill Belichick's family is extraordinarily concerned about what has transpired. One Belichick family source told me, quote, there is deep worry for how detrimental Jordan can be for not just North Carolina, but Bill's legacy, reputation, everything he has built and worked for over decades. End quote. In fact,
it's a wild situation. That, especially because the way that Belichick, the reason this is so shocking is because of the way Belichick has portrayed himself over his decades and decades long history, and how he wanted to make sure that the players didn't have these distractions that would complicate things and blah, blah, blah. And here he is with this shit. And look, I get it. Bill Belichick, he's fucking old. He's fat. Of course he wants to be smashing some 23-year-old pussy. Okay. But the fact that she is now involved in fucking every aspect of his day-to-day life and his business and his coaching is insane. And I do think it's going to, I think that this is the chapter to close out Bill Belichick's time. I don't think he's going to make it through all these years at North Carolina. I think it's not going to go very well. And this is going to be our last memory of him, potentially meeting a fucking girlfriend via escort service and her dominating the conversation.
Mm-hmm. And you also got to think and consider Steve Belichick, Bill's son, is the defensive coordinator at UNC as well.
Yeah. I wonder how old Steve Belichick's sons are, or his children, if they're older or younger than Jordan Hudson.
Oh, Steve Belichick?
They're older. Steve Belichick is in his 30s, right?
I don't know. How old is Belichick?
73, right?
Could he have a 23-year-old granddaughter? I feel like that'd be feasible.
Maybe. Who knows? But this is wild. And I did look it up and confirm. What's her name? Jordan Hudson. Her mom runs a sex toy shop and museum in Massachusetts.
Just a great family.
Great family, man.
Just a great family. Yeah, it's a little bit wild.
It's concerning, bro. It's really concerning. The fact that she's just got him so fucking whipped. She speaks for him. She's interrupting him during practice. He can't get an interview done without her, chiming in and we're not going to answer those questions. Bill, his entire career, has been that guy where he's like, I'm not going to answer your stupid fucking question. We're on to Cincinnati. Like, that's what Bill does. He doesn't need this fucking broad to do it for him.
Yep. Stephen Belichick is 38. So he's way older than Jordan Hudson.
Mm-hmm.
He could have been 15. He knocked somebody up. Come on. You don't think so, John?
What's that?
It happens.
It's possible. He could have a kid that's 23 somehow. Rough life decisions. You never know. We do have to talk about something else, though. We have to talk about ESPN. I don't know about you guys, but for me, ESPN, like 20 years ago, used to be a staple, something I watched every single day, whether it was SportsCenter, whether it was PTI, whether it was Around the Horn. And one of those shows is coming to an end. Around the Horn is being canceled. It's being taken off the air. There's only like a couple episodes left. And as they're ending Around the Horn, because quite frankly, just like all of ESPN, it's continued to not be about sports conversations or interesting sports topics anymore. Instead, it's constantly virtue signaling to try to push some type of political or social message that has nothing to do with sports. But it's coming to an end, and they're bringing back some guests, just for old time's sake, including We got to get to that. I got to actually pull this up. But including people like Jamel Hill and including people like Kate Fagan, who are not with the network necessarily anymore, but came back to send off Around the Horn. And immediately, you see why this show is being fucking canceled. Kate Fagan returns to ESPN, immediately pushes for trans kids in sports. And here it is, Kate Fagan versus Jamel Hill.
This bitch. I remember Kate Fagan now. Holy fuck.
Yes. So let's listen. The final moments. This is one of the final moments for Around the Horn, period. And this is what you focus on. This is why you're no longer there. This is why this show is getting canceled, by the way.
Well, listen, being on this show has been a privilege and a platform, and I know it's my last time on it, and I want to say something worthy of that privilege and platform, and that is this, that trans kids deserve to play sports. Think about what you remember from your time playing sports. Like 99% of it is finding that jersey for the first time, your favorite number, community, joy, those high fives. It's that moment when you have a great play with a teammate. It's the feeling of belonging, and it does not know gender.
She's reading.
She's reading off of something that somebody else wrote for her. Kate Fagan has never played a lick of fucking sports in her entire life, probably. She's reading off of something that somebody wrote for her.
And trans kids deserve that the same as everybody else does. And Tony, this space has on Around the Horn, it's been about diversity and inclusion, lifting up new voices, because sports is joy and sports is humanity. And the more people who have that, the better. And Tony, I love you. So thanks for having me back on.
Bro, like, this is the perfect fucking example. Even her talking about how Around the Horn has been focused on diversity. Yeah. And it's getting fucking canceled. They're canceling it. This is the only reason you're back is because they're done with the fucking show. And yet you use that opportunity to say this. I guess there's no ramifications, right? Because you don't work for the network anymore and because, like, it's going to get canceled fucking anyway. But I've got a secret for you, Kate Fagan, even though you look like a fucking man. Trans kids can play sports. One, there's no such thing as trans kids, just indoctrinated ones. Yep. But guess what? If there is one of those people out there, they can. They can play the sport for the gender they actually belong to. No one's stopping them from doing that at all. The only thing people are stopping are people taking advantage of that situation or men deciding to snap their fingers and play sports with women where they have a competitive advantage. There's nothing stopping you from playing sports at all in the gender that you actually are, instead of whatever fictitious bullshit you've made up in your mind.
Yep. Well, and she played women's basketball. She was an athlete. And it's funny, man. You notice how these former athletes, you know, the Mega Rapinos also, they only want transgender people in their sport when they're not playing anymore because they don't have to compete against them.
Well, I disagree a little bit. I think if you're taking hormones, it's the same thing with steroids. Like if you're a woman and you're trying to transition and, you know, appear more masculine, you're taking testosterone. No, you should absolutely not be allowed to compete amongst women who are not taking testosterone. Sorry, you made the fucking choice. It's like dropping out of high school and then deciding, oh, you know what, I want to go to a university. Well, sorry, you kind of fucked that up for yourself. You don't just get to decide, oh, I'm a woman, I want to take testosterone and I'm still going to compete against women. No, you fucked it up. You made your choice. Fucking, you made your bed, lay in it.
I do agree with that. If there's somebody that's on some sort of hormone therapy that gives you competitive, obviously they shouldn't be playing. But if you're just talking about people who are like, I identify as a man or I identify as a woman now, like that random fucking person, if you want to play sports, you can. You just have to compete against the men like you're supposed to. You know what I mean? But it's wild. And this is a perfect example of why this show got canceled, why ESPN has been failing, and why people hate dumb motherfuckers like this. But yeah.
Yep.
Over on Rumble, KW, for $10, Bananas played here in Nash at Nissan last night. I had to play music, so I didn't get to go, but the Animals won anyway, so glad I made money instead of spent it. Dude, the Savannah Bananas are massively popular. Like, they're selling out like football stadiums to have people come watch them. It's it's kind of nuts. And obviously they're putting on a show. They do not trick shots, but they do trick throws and trick catches. And did they play at Clemson's football stadium the other day? I don't remember where they played, but somewhere. And they filled the fucking place up. It's nuts, man. It's hard to get tickets for them. I've never been to a game. So I was thinking about getting tickets at one point, and you had to get in this fucking queue, and they were only randomly handed out because they're in such demand. It's kind of insane.
Wow.
But have you seen any of those games, John, or those highlights?
No, haven't seen.
It's like Harlem Globetrotters meets baseball is kind of what it is.
Right. Yeah, they're all, like the infield and the pitcher always like they're dancing in unison before the pitch is thrown.
And they do like if you do I believe if you do like some sort of trick like catch or whatever, sometimes you'll see guys that'll come down, they'll bounce the glove up. They'll like bounce it off their glove and then fucking catch it. They'll bounce the glove up, take their hat off and catch it. Infielders will do it, go bounce it in between their legs before they throw it to first to catch behind the back. Like you get some sort, I don't know if you get an extra out. Something happens if you make outs with these trick plays. The umps are all into it. It's nuts. And the other team's doing the same thing, like the other teams that they're playing. It's not just like the Washington Generals? Is it the Generals that are the people that the Globetrotters always play?
I couldn't tell you.
John, you know you were around when the Harlem Globetrotters got created.
I was around, but I didn't really watch them. Man, I'm not that old, Ryan.
The Generals, but they're the team that just gets the shit beat out of them. That's not how that one works. Like they actually have people on the other team, like they're trying to do the similar things that the Savannah Bananas are. It's cool. It's cool. At least I think it is. Yeah, I think it's the Washington Generals. Yes. Nailed it. I saw the Harlem Globetrotters play when I was a kid. I went to see them play at they were at Notre Dame's college basketball arena when I went to see when I was like 9 or 10 or some shit. It was fun, dude. Are they still around? The Harlem Globetrotters still around?
Oh yeah, they're still around.
Yeah, you guys are, of course you didn't even know who they play.
I don't know who they play, but I know that they're still kicking it.
Swag Cuddy says, John, you're old as shit.
48.
48 years young.
Almost 48.
48 years young. But I think that's about all we got to talk about today, guys. Obviously, big stuff going on when it comes to NHL playoffs, NBA playoffs, baseball every freaking night, which is fun.
Yep.
You have the MLB Pass, Beardo?
I do.
Yeah. Me too. Yep. Well, I mean, I didn't need it last night because the Cubs played on Fox or whatever it was, but yeah. And then John, you probably just you don't even need the fucking pass to see your team play because you live in the area.
Yeah, but I only have an antenna, and Space City Home Network is not doing streaming, so you got to buy a Fubo TV or Direct TV stream. I'm not paying $120 a month for that.
That's not how it typically works. Like if you're in the market, you got to pay extra to watch them play. Like I'm in the Tampa Bay Rays market, even though I have the baseball package, all their games are blacked out. I have to buy the Tampa Bay.
Everything's backed out.
I have to buy the Tampa Bay Rays their broadcast, even though I have the baseball package.
Yeah, because usually I get MLB TV for free every year because I have T-Mobile. And every time I get it, the Astros are always blocked out.
It was the same thing with the Tampa Bay Lightning. I couldn't watch the Tampa Bay Lightning games either because they're blacked out.
If you're in the area and there's a local broadcast network, like those games are typically blacked out because of the agreements with cable providers and shit.
Yeah, and I won't be able to see the Astros. Like the Astros, I was wondering why don't they actually just have a streaming service by itself? It's because of the old contracts that they had before they were like Root Sports and all that. That doesn't expire for like another 3 or 4 years, I believe.
So it's wild, basically every team has one of these fucking deals now.
Yeah.
I miss the days when the Cubs were just on WGN, man.
Yep. I miss the days of the local Fox carrying all the Astros games. That's the way it used to be.
I don't know if the Dodgers are still like this, but I remember a few years ago, back when Spectrum was still Time Warner, like the Dodgers signed this crazy contract with Time Warner, and they were blacked out the entire nation unless you had Time Warner cable. That was the only way to watch Dodger games.
Yep.
Like, what is the Yankees have the Yes Network? Do they still
Yes
have
Network.
that?
Yeah, the Yes Network.
Yep.
Actually, WGN used to carry the Cubs. I can watch the Cubs anytime I
You
want
can,
to.
you can still get the Yes Network on the baseball package, though.
Yeah,
It's
if
not
the
like-
baseball pack, that's the thing. The baseball package gives you access to all the teams broadcasts, as long as it's not in your area specifically. Because if it's in your area, they want you to pay the local thing for local people to get that because that's their fan base. But yeah,
Mhm.
for MLB TV, you can watch home broadcasts, away broadcasts, all that shit.
Yep.
It's awesome because I don't live where my team plays. But
Right.
yes, back in the day, I mean, that's one of the reasons that there's so many Braves fans, so many Cubs fans kind of all around the country is because a lot of people grew up and on TBS, the Braves were playing, on WGN,
They were always
the Cubs were
nationally
playing.
televised.
So they were always available.
Mhm.
Yep.
And also the Braves were good in the 90s. That might have been
Right.
the reason as well. All right. Garth Knight, Matrix. Ryan thinks you're the dad from Good Times. That's not true. Little Orphan Funkhauser, dude. Don't let TNME find out about the bananas, Beardo.
I have no control over that shit.
Taker for 5. I hope the new Commanders Stadium is called RFK Jr. Stadium and all the concession workers speak like they've been smoking for 30 years. Yeah, and only fucking serve things dipped in beef tallow or some dumb shit. Yeah.
Hell yeah.
No thanks. I'll take my ballpark food as unhealthy as I possibly can. The way it was intended.
Mm-hmm.
The way it was intended. All right. But that is it, guys. I think that's going to be it. What do you got going on, Beardo?
I'm just going to chill and probably smoke up some meats and just chill out, man.
Just
Nothing
chill
too
out?
exciting. Nothing too exciting.
There you go. What about you, John? What are you guys doing at Black and White?
Not much. I got a video scheduled for later on, and I'm just about to go cook some lunch.
Hell yeah.
Nice. All right, Wait. Thanks for joining us, guys. We appreciate it. We'll be back next week, same time, same place. We'll talk to all of you later. Bye, everybody.
Later, guys.